Ladies and gentlemen, Columbus Day is an SJW holiday. That may sound strange. According to some, SJWs, or social justice warriors, are trying to tear down this time-honored tradition. If you know your history, though, you know that there's a lot more to the controversy over this holiday than just that. And I think it has a lot to teach us about the way that U.S. myth-making works and the way that U.S. identity evolves. This October 8th, some U.S. citizens will celebrate Columbus Day. Christopher Columbus is usually remembered as the guy who discovered America. Never mind the Native Americans or Leif Erikson. He's the guy we go with. Interestingly, not even Columbus thought he discovered America. He thought he was in India. Importantly, Columbus is now seen as an Italian, even though he died hundreds of years before that country was unified. In recent decades, the Columbus Day tradition has started to take a lot of flack. It is a historical fact that Columbus's discovery and the adventures that followed on after him annihilated like 95% of the population that was living in the Americas in 1492. Back when I was younger, I would celebrate every Columbus Day by reading the first chapter of this book, People's History of the United States by Howard Zinn. I actually don't like this book very much, but I think the first chapter does an extraordinary job telling the horrific story of genocide and disease that Christopher Columbus launched. I think the United States would be a much better place if every student celebrated Columbus Day by reading the first chapter of this book. But I'm not so sure that the holiday should be abolished. Because, as a conservative social justice warrior, I remember an earlier controversy. 100 years ago, Italian Americans occupied a position in the United States that was almost identical to Latinos today. They were becoming a vital part of our national community, but some saw them as darker-skinned invaders who were swamping the country. They were seen as both lazy and as stealing the jobs of real Americans. They supposedly came from a sinister Catholic civilization that just wasn't compatible with our values. Italian Americans were very interested in combating these prejudices and inserting themselves into U.S. history and identity. Columbus Day was a way to do that. So what is a social justice warrior anyway? It's one of those terms, like globalist, that I think people should be more willing to embrace. If some folks are going to run around popularizing these terms as insults, then why not just turn it around and use them? Those who hate SJWs claim that they're trying to corrupt our national institutions and impose alien ideas on our national culture. Those like me who like to defend SJWs claim that they're just trying to make the United States more inclusive and better. The interesting thing about the establishment of Columbus Day as a holiday is that it actually fits both of these definitions. Columbus Day is the perfect SJW holiday. Columbus doesn't exactly fit the profile of most of our official national heroes. And it's not just the fact that he predates the country by like 3 centuries. He wasn't some earnest patriot or hypocritical philosopher of liberty. He claimed American lands and riches for the crusading Catholic monarchs of Spain. This was exactly the sort of thing that many of our founding fathers hated most. Those old hatreds of Catholic imperial Spain were trotted out again as recently as the Spanish-American War at the end of the 1800s. You can see many echoes of that old hatred in the distrust of Latinos today. The idea of celebrating the Italian Christopher Columbus was hated by a lot of the white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, or WASPs, that ran the United States 100 years ago. Actually, the WASPs still pretty much run the United States today, but that's the topic of a different video. Anyway, the self-appointed defenders of real America really didn't like the idea of a Columbus Day. You know that old line, well, actually, Leif Erikson discovered America? That was initially popularized because the Northern European Vikings were seen as real white people, unlike those dirty Italians. The SJW Italians ended up winning. Kind of. FDR, a New York Democrat with a lot of powerful Italian-American supporters, made Columbus Day a national holiday in 1937. This means that federal government workers get the day off across the country. But less than half of the individual states celebrate the holiday, and most of the bigger ones don't. Columbus Day today is only observed in states with a lot of Italian Americans and in sparsely populated western states where the federal government is the biggest office employer. I think it's great that the Italian American social justice warriors got their holiday. I also think it's hilarious that the defenders of real America are now going to bat for a holiday that they probably would have been fighting against 50 years ago, and that actually isn't even celebrated in most of the states that they live in. I don't really know what we should do about Columbus Day, but I think we should all have a fuller idea of what it represents before we make any decisions. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and if you'd like to help me make more videos like this one, you can click on the PayPal link in the description below to make a direct donation, or you can click on the Patreon link here to find out more about my crowdfunding thing.